Now let me tell you how Microsoft just blew the minds of a very large fan base. Look, I'm cringing saying it, but Microsoft just they just people's elbowed. I don't know, 150 million people with this Bethesda deal that they have. Pretty much, read it and weep, okay? Say what you will, but it sounds more and more than ever like, pretty much all major Bethesda titles going forward, with a few exceptions, are exclusive to an ecosystem. My point is that Microsoft said things as clearly as they've ever said, and while not the best track record when it comes to Bethesda's acquisition, they did say things very clearly compared to the last time around. And you know what, we'll get into the exact quote and we'll go down and explain and talk about why, hey, I'm not saying exclusives are great. I've never once said exclusives are anti-consumer. What I do say is, if you got a service like Game Pass, you're trying to power that service, it is clear what they want to do, what they need to do.
We get that because we got a lot of questions, all of us, over the months about, well, what are you going to do here? What are you going to do here? And we said it a couple times, but I'm not sure everybody heard it.
They didn't believe us.
We weren't able, there was no decision making going on between the organizations. You guys have been running as Bethesda for all this time. We've been, which, like you said, seems like it's been a long time. We've been running as Xbox, so now we can actually start to sit down and really build our plans together. And that I can't wait.
This is day
awesome.
one. I mean,
yeah.
But it is fun to see. People just can't believe it's real. Even the official announce, like seeing fans retweet, I still can't believe this is real. And the excitement of what this means for gamers, what this means for dev teams, like, you know, for us, like we could not be more excited. We've worked with you guys for years. We've been fans for years, but now, like, we're family, and that's a really exciting thing.
Look, we're gonna get into Phil's main quote here in a second. Really, the one that drives the nail into the coffin, in my opinion. But we got to point it. This gentleman from Bethesda, right? He says, "Look, Phil, they didn't believe us. They didn't believe us, Phil.
They didn't believe us. We weren't able."
Secondly, they do also confirm that until this moment, they have not been making any decisions regarding Bethesda. They've been managing themselves. So Microsoft are just now jumping into things. I'm sure there has been some light collaboration, but we won't mention that for the sake of lawyers.
Yeah, what an exciting time for our fans. I see it in the community. I see it in the industry. People want to know what's going to come. We're bringing all of these creative teams together. We know at Gamers Play Games, and we knew our focus on our first party and our ability to build great games for Xbox fans was critically important to not only where we are, but where we're going. I listened to the podcast and all the questions, so I'm going to try to be as clear as I can. So obviously I can't sit here and say every Bethesda game is exclusive, because we know that's not true. There's contractual obligations that we're going to see through, as we always do in every one of these instances. We have games that exist on other platforms, and we're going to go support those games on the platforms they're on. There's communities of players. We love those communities, and we'll continue to invest in them. And even in the future, there might be things that have either contractual things or legacy on different platforms that we'll go do. But if we're an Xbox customer, the thing I want you to know is this is about delivering great exclusive games for you that ship on platforms where Game Pass exists. And that's our goal. That's why we're doing this. That's the root of this partnership that we're building, and the creative capability we will be able to bring to market for our Xbox customers. It is going to be the best it's ever been for Xbox after we're done here.
Okay. Now that is one of the most monstrous quotes from Phil Spencer ever in his entire career. Honestly, he said so much there, talking about the quality of the game, something we've been talking about for years. Better games. Not only that, but giving back to the Xbox fan base by providing software finally. And it's not that he wanted to rip those games away from so many guys, as I've explained a million times. It's really keeping that massive set of IP and studios away from companies like Tencent, Google, etc. That is why Microsoft bought them. That is why Microsoft are bringing them to their ecosystem, and they made that power play. I think they should get the credit and the praise for that, but only for that reason, giving back more to their fans. No one else wanted to spend that money. Microsoft did. After all of that, you wouldn't think that people would have much of a problem with what he's saying, but apparently the thing they're hanging on to is legacy titles. Yes, this is the thing that's going to do everything in. Again, even if Starfield comes out on PS5, it still doesn't defeat my point here. Legacy titles is not going to be, it's just not a cool enough. There's no word that's cool enough that can stop this, right? It makes perfect sense. They want this to power Game Pass. He said it himself. Any ecosystem with Game Pass, that's where they're going. Any ecosystem without it, they are not going there. Meaning Sony would have to put Game Pass on PlayStation. And I don't think Sony want to help Microsoft make even more money while they've got their own service that's trying to compete. I also don't think they would want Xbox Live to be a mainstay on PlayStation 5, which would need to happen if you are going to utilize Game Pass. I just don't think they're going to do it. Is it a possibility? Sure. Is it going to happen? Man, that's a drunk Jim Ryan right there. If that deal happens, I'd be blown away.
But if we're an Xbox customer, the thing I want you to know is this is about delivering great exclusive games for you that ship on platforms where Game Pass exists.
Again, this is about shipping great games for people like me, people like you, Xbox fans, that happen to be exclusive because they paid the money for the product. What's so hard to understand about this? Comments, please let me know your thoughts on this as we kind of go along and slowly have my mind blown out the back of my skull. But again, if my mind weren't exploding out the back of my skull, you wouldn't be nearly as entertained, right? So it's one of those things where people are going to see what they want to see here. Ultimately, I'm going to go off of what they said in the past, which is basically going to be the educated guess part. I'm going to go off of what they said today, which also factors into that. But I'm also going to go into what I'm hearing behind the scenes. I believe these guys are good sources. I believe I've proven that over and over. And I believe that it's common sense, first and foremost. So yes, you will have certain games that are case by case, like Deathloop and Deathwire Tokyo, maybe some more, who knows? But when it comes down to it, they are going to lock these games off to their ecosystem. This isn't me championing it, it's me telling you what's going to happen for the few of you listening that actually are in disbelief right now. Remember, the Sony guys don't actually watch anything they have an opinion on when it comes to Xbox channels or guys that don't prefer PlayStation. No, they'd rather make videos going through your gamer card even though your gamer score crushes them and only cover, 2% and neglect the fact that half the games that are up there have pretty rare trophies, but they don't know that because they actually haven't played. Let me go ahead and just stop digressing. Aaron Greenberg, he confirms an event, by the way, for, well, this summer. Now, when does summer end? Let us know in the comments because I forgot. It's a pandemic.
When you go put, historically it was like the E3, event or whatever, you put on a show, you do a digital thing, like people don't realize that takes months and months of preparation. And so we are in that planning phase. We are looking at content, we are thinking about content. So now that we are officially one team, this is sort of the opportunity now for us to move at even more accelerated pace, but it's been fun.
Aaron, Greeny's dancing. He's not giving an answer. What's the
We'll
answer?
have something this summer.
Thank you.
Now, we've heard Phil talking about how the quality of games is going to be higher than ever, at least in his opinion. Well, we've got some confirmation from Todd Howard as well, who was in that studio day after day, year after year. Imagine working on one thing for half a decade. Well, that's what this guy does. He goes there every day. He knows how it is with different corporate management, and he's telling you right here that he believes quality will be higher than it's ever been, or at least as high as it can be for this game concept, design, team, etc. I'm not saying it's going to be the highest rated game ever, but Todd has quite a bit of faith in it.
When we think about the future of games and our ability to make them, that doing this together and this kind of partnership, it's going to sound cliche, like they believe it or don't believe it, but we have a firm belief that we're going to make the best games we could possibly make by doing this. So whereas I think it's great to have all of these games under one umbrella, like what does that mean at the end of the day to the games you're looking at? It's, for us, they're gonna be even better than the way we were gonna be doing them. It's a lot of emotions, a lot of excitement. It's, also, it's just surreal. I have to be honest, our company has had a lot of chapters. Each of those is marked by doing that with many of the folks at Xbox. And when we sort of thought about the games that we want to create, and as we talked, it became clearer and clearer that this kind of partnership was where we wanted to go with all of the games we were doing.
Well,
Now look, there's some other really cool tidbits in this whole little round table thing they had going on, little picnic table thing. The link's down below. You can check out the original source. You can listen to it a million times. You can try to see if I taken these quotes out of context, whatever you want. But chances are, if you heard this from a radical Sony fan on Twitter, you heard none of this. You heard none of it. As a matter of fact, you heard that they are going to send all legacy titles off, and of course, even more by the case by cases. Case by cases, yeah, that's what I meant. Case by case basis. There we go. No, that's not the case. As a matter of fact, they were even joking around about how nobody believed what they were saying. They kept trying to read into it, but no, it was quite simple. Then you got even Todd talking about this particular type of partnership, right? How they're going to do this stuff. There's a reason they're tiptoeing around how they're wording all of this. If it were that straightforward, guys, it's not to protect the Xbox fans. It's not because the Xbox fans will be crushed and shattered. I think it's actually to stop the Sony guys. And of course, a lot of the influencers online from really trying to steamroll Microsoft on taking games away from the consumer, quote unquote. Even though, like I said, Tencent, Google, blah, blah, blah. That's why they did it, not to steal your games. Matter of fact, you got a ton of flexibility with xCloud, PC, and the console as well. So it is what it is when it comes down to it. From what we can tell, everyone's happy, and everyone on the team has the same tone. It's like they're all strings on the same guitar that has been tuned recently by maybe the same guy, except for Aaron Greenberg. But to be serious, that made no sense. Honestly, guys, let me know your thoughts down below on all of this. Go rewatch it 50 times, show 50 friends. And of course, I'm just doing all this off the top of my head like I do all videos, trying to have a little fun with it. To be honest, I'm very excited about the future of Xbox and everything that they are at least proposing to be offering. As somebody who's been quite critical over their lack of first-party support over the past 4 or 5 years. Not talking about Forza, Gears, and Halo. What I'm saying is Bethesda are primed to fill that slot. And I'm really looking forward to this. It's one of the biggest acquisitions of all time. And Microsoft look to be giving them the quality, the time they need to work on these titles. We've had Greenberg on my podcast. He did confirm there that they are giving Bethesda all the time, the same time that they would have needed before, if not more. Anytime they need to delay the title, of course, they're willing to give the team time. Just because it's in Game Pass day and date doesn't mean that they can't take 5 years to make it. That's what I'm trying to get across. But anyways, let me know what you're trying to get across down below. If you end up liking the video, if you're still here, maybe hit the like button, show a buddy or two, and of course, let me know your thoughts. Links down below to the sources. Patrons, thank you. Channel members, thank you. And if you're asking yourself, did Sony fans get crushed today by a lot of these announcements? Whether they understood the repercussions of these announcements or not? My answer is yeah, because they've spent the last year and a half constantly writing false narrative after false narrative. And I think Microsoft are being very transparent. Actually, message Phil earlier. So, I mean, it's one of those things where it is what it is. Again, thank you. And here we